Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. As we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be. I don't know what we'll be talking about in particular. Yesterday I spoke about unpacking, mainly because it just sort of I kind of got to speak about it. Could I speak more on what happened? I suppose when I went to that board game convention. I mean, I feel like I covered like the major plot points. I mean, with other things, are just sort of like personal things, which I was going to be like, maybe you're not interested in. But I suppose the entire lifeblood of the Animal Crossing series is built upon these anecdotes I'm talking about. I will say one cool thing actually, which happened from. Well, we'll get into this in a bit. Good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 10:17 p.m. on Thursday, August 31st, 2023. It's Audie's birthday. I guess we'll have to go give her a present. One cool thing that happened from me visiting my friends. Well, I mean, obviously the cool thing is visiting my friends, but one cool thing which might actually impact, I suppose, you as a dealing viewer, rather than, me as a friend, is the fact that we played, what's it called? Monster Road Trip. Is that... That doesn't sound right. It's not called Monster Road Trip, is it? Monster Prom. Is it called Monster Prom? That series, Monster Road Trip. That doesn't sound right for some reason. Oh, Monster Prom 3. So it's called Monster Road Trip? It is called Monster Road Trip, okay. So, basically, we played that, me and... Well, there's four of us in total, I suppose. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. I didn't know anything, really, about Monster Prom. What I thought it was I thought it was a, competitive visual novel. It's basically how I understood how it was described to me, ages ago when I first heard, the Monster Prom thing that is. And I think I saw, a little bit of gameplay, but it didn't, really pull me in or anything like that, Which you might, in retrospect, if you know about the game, you might be like, that's wild, and don't you, love these sort of visual novels, story-based games with characters and, ensemble cast and that sort of thing? That seems right up your alley. And you're right, after playing it, I'm just like, okay, this is right up my alley. I don't know why I never played this, to be honest. I will say the gameplay is not, I'm not, that entranced by it. It's not, that amazing. It's, very bare bones. But, to be fair, it's also a visual novel, so it's not you're really rating it on the gameplay. Well, in my opinion, maybe you are, in which case... Fair enough, you do you, but we played Monster Road Trip. It's really long, mind you. It seems like one run, but I suppose we were also narrating everything, so that probably, and taking breaks, so it wasn't like we were trying to speed run it or anything. But we played, spoilers, we didn't actually get to the end, and technically it was actually kind of my fault, I'm not gonna lie, but it was kind of my fault through a way which is very understandable. But basically, as I understand the premise of Monster Road Trip, I'm not going to talk about it the entire time, though I'll eventually get to the point I was going to. The point of Monster Road Trip and how they actually make the visual novel, I suppose, have a gamified aspect is, I guess it's kind of like a roguelike visual novel. Is probably how I describe it. But you have basically 6 stats which you need to balance, and every single random event you do will take some of your stats away but give you other stats. And the entire game is, I think, to end the run with, I think it was 25 of one stat, but you can never let any of the other stats hit 0. So it's basically about choosing the right events in your mind to sort of balance the stats out. You'll choose something which is a bit more fun, but then you'll lose out on energy points, the equivalent of energy and things like that. Basically, it's a very bare bones game. It's basically sort of like a number balancing simulator. But of course, there's a little bit more depth to it because sometimes the events aren't really all that straightforward. They kind of get twisted, which is kind of how we lost. To be honest, we tried. Basically, we were one bad hit, we had to hit enough magic in 2 turns or something. So I took an event to get enough magic, and we got enough magic, but it was okay, now we need to choose a stat to lose from, and it was the only stat I think which would have caused us to lose the game was, I can't remember, it's called the fun stat. It's not called the fun stat, but it's basically the equivalent of a fun stat, and the 2 options were basically run away from a duel or turn the duel into something else. And very fairly to us, we were running away is probably really boring, that's probably going to make us lose the fun stat. Turns out, nope, the other one makes you lose your fun stat, or maybe both of them makes you lose your fun stat, I don't know. So we lost, which is a shame, but it's actually a very fun game. It very much is basically a visual novel with the barest of, I suppose, and gameplay mechanics behind it. But obviously I like these visual novels. It's really fun doing the voice acting. It's actually really fun doing the voice acting with friends as well, mind you. Because as much fun as I love doing the voice acting, I suppose, of things like Beacon Pines, etc., etc., it takes a lot of stamina, I think, to do it for a long period of time, which is, I mean, you can hear it if you watch like any of my early like story-based series, like Heaven's Vault comes to mind of being very dialogue heavy. I was basically like running out of air by the time it came to later recordings. Now obviously I can continuously talk for like 3 hours straight and it'll probably be okay, but it's difficult. So, you know, sharing a burden with friends is much more fun. But doing a sort of like live voice acting thing is very fun as well. You know, it's just sort of like a jump in and do whatever. You know, some people, you know, me and another friend are very much into just like doing these voices because it's fun. It's silly. Obviously, I like doing voices for. I've done it like for every single YouTube series, perhaps. So, you know, you might say I've got a little bit of experience at well, I shouldn't say like professional experience or anything like that, just like recreational experience. And the other two friends, you know, they jumped in here and there, of course, as well, with their fair share of voices. But it's really fun doing it that way. You know, it's fun to hear everyone else's different interpretations of voices. You know, I guess it's got more fun of a sort of personal element. I also forgot we were meant to go to Harv's Island, so that's why we're going back this way. So yeah, I mean, obviously, it's sort of like long and short, playing games with friends is kind of fun. I guess that's to the surprise of probably no one. But I think I found it extra fun because it's sort of like a little twist of, you know, I like the concept of voice acting. I think I've said this before, like when I was much younger, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a voice actor when I grow up. It hasn't really panned out, mainly because I have no expertise in acting or drama or anything like that. If you were like, hey, in the future, would you like this to happen? I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can see it as a possibility, but I don't think it's really going to be a career path for me. So at the end of the day, if I became like insanely rich, I could retire now, then maybe I'd pursue it as a fun hobby. Why not? Because I mean, when you're insanely rich, you can kind of pursue anything you want, provided your hobby doesn't make you lose that much in expenses. I forgot what I was going with this. So yeah, the voice acting is really fun. You might be like, whose voices did you do? I can't remember the names off the top of my head very well, but I did the Jock Whale guy. I think his name was Scott, or it's like, bro. Something like that. Who else did I do? I did a voice for the Mothman, who was, I think, our companion. I basically just voiced him like Blathers. The game's also very horny from what I recall, which I found very funny as well. Maybe that does tickle my fancy. It does seem like it aligns with me quite well now I think about it, but yeah, I don't know. These like group voice acting sessions are pretty fun, to say the least. And I'm not sure if I shouldn't say I'm not sure if you've seen it, because I think it's actually reasonably popular within like meme-esque circles, but I cannot remember what it's called. But I brought it up before ages ago, because that's when I first discovered it. But it was like these voice actors live dubbing one of the Sonic games. I don't know which one, to be perfectly honest, off the top of my head. And they're basically sort of like improv acting it. So I guess it's more like improv comedy, I suppose, more than voice acting necessarily, but it's a combination of both. And I find it very funny, and there's a very iconic, you know, Eggman speech during the entire thing, which is, how does it even go? It's like, I've come to make an announcement. I can't do an Eggman voice, nor do I really remember what he sounds like. So what's it called? It's probably called, you can find it just by doing Sonic dub. You know what? Let's try and find it a funny way. Let's try and find it by searching, I've come to make an announcement, Eggman. I've come to make an announcement. Okay, it's actually just like the first thing at Dr. Eggman's Twitter announcement. Sonic Adventure 2 Real Time. Snap Cube, that was it. Snap Cube of it. That's how you spell it, apparently. Don't listen to that. Snap Cube. What on earth is going on here? I mean, they played a lot of games, but they did like Sonic, the live Sonic fan dub with. I've seen a group of their friends. It'd be kind of strange, I suppose, to do it with a not group of friends, but I don't really know. I guess that's kind of up to you. And I don't know. I guess it's just kind of fun because, you know, doing fun things with friends is fun, just sort of like inherently. So I'm not really sure where I was going with this, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, I don't know. It makes me kind of wish I was like great at improv or something. I would say certainly I'm probably a lot better at improvising things now than I am like 3 years ago. You know, actually like remarkably so, I would say. Mainly because about 3 years ago, it's not that I couldn't form a coherent sentence, but it's like all my thoughts are very much internal. But now I'm pretty good at getting my thoughts from internal to external. So that's pretty fun, you know. A strong benefit, I suppose, of running this YouTube channel for so long. but yeah, like watching these sort of things makes me kind of be like, I wish I was just like, not like I wish, but it was like, it'd be cool just to be like really good at improv. You know, it kind of like in so it's mild spoilers where everything everywhere all at once, kind of in a EEO way. Where it's being like, oh, you know, just like borrow my skills from a different timeline where I went into improv comedy or something and just like do a really funny skit for a party or something and then just like stop and then be like, that's it. I mean, unsurprisingly, I find that every time I do something, and you know, I'm not like perfect at like, well, anything, it's not by definition, so maybe perfect was the wrong word to use, but I'm not proficient at like many things. And you might be like, oh, don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, like statistically in a number-based way, you can't be, but it's probably like, I mean, you could argue infinite things you can do as well, but that's perhaps taken like from a more realistic approach of like actual designated things. No, not designated, classical. If we actually try to classify everything, there's probably like a billion things you can do in this world. Obviously, I cannot be proficient in a billion things. I'm probably proficient in quite a few things, mind you, but you know, a handful is kind of like nothing compared to a billion. So most things, obviously, I'm not proficient in. And whenever I do something I'm not proficient in, I'd be like, oh man, it'd be really cool if I was just like randomly proficient at this. I guess what I kind of want my superpower to be is good at everything. I want to be a Mary Sue, which is not perhaps great for a narrative, but it's pretty good when you are a Mary Sue, I'd imagine. But yeah, I don't really know what I was getting with this. Yeah, group voice acting. It seems like fun. I mean, there's a whole long list of bucket list things that I'm sure I'd love to try at some point. And definitely voice acting for something, I think it would be one of them. You might be like, what would you like to voice act for? I don't really know. Like a dream scenario sort of thing. I guess a game I play a lot, you know. It'd be cool to voice like a League of Legends character. That's never going to happen because obviously League of Legends is now like a big company. If I wanted to do so, maybe I should have tried it when they started out as a small indie company. 'Cause I always remember about this one video was like, oh, my uncle voiced Corky or something, and he was just like, yep, and then they paid me $500. I went at a booth, I recorded like 8 lines, and that was it. You know, fair enough. No, my axe. But you know, I would take basically anything, I think. Someone was like, hey, we're going to pay you to voice in this game. What am I going to be like, no? Why would I do that? Well, obviously, I'm going to be like, yeah, let's give it a shot. That sounds like fun. To be fair, I'd say that for most things, I think. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Group narration is perhaps what I'm trying to get at here. And doing it for Monster Prom was pretty fun, to be honest. Pretty fun, pretty silly. And I'm sure part of it is also helped by the fact that, you know, I do like my friends. And also the fact that Monster... It's not called Monster Ball Game. Monster... What's it called? Road Trip is just like kind of a fun game. Hot take. Excuse me. So it is a game I would consider playing on the channel, to be honest. I think it's kind of roguelite-esque though, which means I would have to define basically what I'm going to consider an endpoint, because there's no game I want to play on this channel forever, except for, you know, Asterisk, maybe Animal Crossing until the next one comes out. Oh, wait, that's the wrong button. Yeah, and honestly at this point I'm not really playing Animal Crossing so much as I'm talking over Animal Crossing, which is totally fine by me. Probably not fine by everyone, but, you know, at the end of the day, I'm the one playing, so, you know. I was going to say sucks to you, but that's just, like, kind of harsh. What else has been going on? You know what's been happening recently is I've finally started watching an anime I've talked about so long ago, and I never got around to watching. I've started watching. We don't need to put it away in storage. We can just talk to Towardsman and put it away. I've started watching Odd Taxi, and I love it. It is fantastic. It is, you know, talking about, you know, things which are right up my alley. Odd Taxi is so right up my alley. Like, I mean, and you might be like, haha, is it because of anthropomorphic animals? I wouldn't say that's like the main reason, actually. Surprisingly, it's up my alley. But the main reason it's up my alley is because it's just like a load of natural dialogue between people interacting with each other in comedic ways. It's like writing is crazy on point. I'm not really much of an action person, but I'm very much more of an emotions and drama filled person. Well, not drama filled, more like of the media I consume. So like the writing in the anime is actually like really good. The characters are supremely compelling, and the storyline itself is also incredibly compelling. So it's sort of just like, am I like living a dream right now? This is crazy. Why is everything like so engaging in this? Anyway, I haven't got to the end, so we could throw it all away, I suppose, at the end. If it doesn't stick the landing. Which, you know, it's happened to animes in the past, or shows in general in the past. Cough. Dexter, cough. Game of Thrones, cough. You know, Wonder Egg Priority, which is a bit sad because I actually do want to watch Wonder Egg Priority because I hear the first 10 episodes are just fantastic. It just completely is terrible on the last episode for whatever reason. No, the last 2 episodes or something, which is a real shame because I think the concept of it sounds very cool. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Kind of gave me like a visual novel itch. Which is, you know, I suppose silly to say, because Beacon Pines kind of already is a visual novel, which I'm playing. What game is following on from Beacon Pines, actually? Have I decided that? That's a game which is following on, okay. There actually is a visual novel in a game which should be following on for ages. But I said, literally a note here, it's like, I'm going to play this game after my VTuber model is done. I haven't worked on it for ages. I really need to, but I just don't have time. I'm going on holiday soon. So, it's the sort of thing where, like, I forgot what I was going to say. So, like, yeah. It's the sort of thing I do need to work on it eventually. Maybe I'll do it when I come back from holiday, but then maybe I won't have time. But I do want to finish that model. Or at least get, like, a very basic version out. Because I think it'll be fun. And I think I've kind of tied up me streaming to when this model is done. And the fact that I haven't done this model for ages is probably why I haven't streamed for ages. I haven't even started considering streaming. But also, I'm not sure I'm going to be consistent enough with streaming yet. But that is minutiae I need to figure out as well. Anyway, group commentary, group voice acting. It's fun. It's a fun time. I'm sure not everyone will find it a fun time, depending on how self-conscious you are about performing or that sort of thing. But as I get older, I'm not going to say I'm shameless about these sort of things, but more I'm more willing to sacrifice, you know, my self-consciousness, I suppose, for having a good time. Which is weird to say, because I don't have a particularly silly personality, I don't think, but I think it might catch people a little bit off guard. In fact, I'm quite reasonably serious, I think, most of the time. It's just like I have no inhibitions, that's obviously not what I mean, but things like that where, you know, you're cut loose every once in a while. I don't mind being a little bit whimsical. I'm muted. Oh my god. I was like, apologies about that. A little bit of a pause. I'm just recreating exactly what I did, beat for beat. But again, so from my angle, it sounds insane. But I was like, a little bit of a pause. I mean, I was like, well, I don't know why I said it like that. A little bit of a pause. But yes, we had a little bit of a pause. But yeah, we're going to wrap this episode off here, basically. Am I going to... yeah, no, I should record another episode of Happy in Paradise. I really need to start, like, recording more episodes in advance for Animal Crossing, because I don't have a backlog, and I'm going away for 7 days? 8? From, I think, 8th to 15th. I need to look at a calendar. Is that right? It will effectively 7th to probably 16th. Well, I don't know. 7th to 15th, so that's 8 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically, if I record one extra episode every single day, that'll be fine. Which is going to be difficult because I'm pretty sure on my birthday I'm not going to be able to record it all. But anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope you see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.